So one thing I've been meaning to ask, and I figured now's probably as good a time as any. When we drove by your house, I noticed you were wearing it looked like a unicorn outfit. And I meant to ask you what if there was a message. I'm not exactly sure what. I don't know if you wanted to explain or not.
Unicorn's very rare beast. It's a very rare time. So that was my version of the pivoting.
Oh, okay, fair enough. I like it.
Quarantine catch-ups on CorkScrewed TV's YouTube channel.
Aha, Mayor Jim, how art thou?
I'm doing great. How you doing, Patrick?
I'm doing good. I'm out in the country, so enjoying the weather, but things are different, obviously. So have you seen our TV show, CorkScrewed TV?
Who hasn't? Of course, everybody's seen it. You guys are awesome. And you know what? I'm glad you've been able to bottle up that humor and that energy into a show, and you can share it with everybody, and you can watch it whenever you want to watch it. You don't have to wait till we run into you.
Well, and we did run into you. Of course, you've seen the show, and you've been on the show. You're in our episode 12, and we have so much to celebrate and to showcase. Of course, Niagara Falls being one of the main gemstones in the crown that is Niagara. And we bumped into you at the Gala, the Ice Wine Gala in Niagara Falls at the casino. And that was just a small testament to everything that Niagara is.
Well, I'd like to say, you know what? We offer a buffet of fun and excitement. There's something here for everyone. And if you like wine, or if you think you might like wine, or you want to find out about wine, and I'm not talking about winers, I'm talking about wine, well, no better place. There's so many cool places to check out. I love the thing I like most about your show is I don't know a lot about wine. I'm, not very right? And I remember when I was in school, we used to just pick whatever was the cheapest, and one that looked like it was a fancy Italian name, even if it wasn't made in Italy. And we didn't even know what we were doing at all. And we didn't know how to drink it, with a straw. We weren't really sure out of a stein. But honestly, I feel, and yet I'm embarrassed when I go to places and they're swishing it and there's coffee beans. Yeah, and I don't know what to do. I'm like, am I supposed to do that? And then they say, well, don't swallow it. And anyway, with you guys, you assume I don't know what's going on, because I'd say that's the majority of us. We don't really know. So you help us in a playful way kind of get it a bit.
It's true. And there's been actually a lot of studies that the vast majority of people want to know more, even if you are at a level that you know what the swirling is and the tannins and whatnot. But the wine industry is one of the many things that your job entails, because you oversee a regional area or a municipal area. And unfortunately, that's been hard hit recently, but you're one of the huge advocates for, did you invent the name, or are you just one of the advocates for Crush the Curve?
Well, I'm part of the team that, I guess I'd say I'm part of the marketing team that got it out there. We got a guy, Jeff Corey, a local guy, and he's got a apparel business, and he had some Brock students interning with his company, and they decided, this flat the curve wasn't really working. And then, we heard from the prime minister, that we're going to plank the curve, and we all looked at each other and said, what does that mean? Plank? Like, to me, that's how you make salmon on the barbecue. We're all like, what's that mean? And then we're like, well, why don't we just feather the edges of the curve or massage the curve? We said, no, let's crush it. And let's pound it down and no messing around. And so that's what we did. We came up with this campaign, and oh my gosh, we've got marquees and billboards all over the city, even around the region, churches, service groups, restaurants. They've got it on their marquees. Jim Pattison from Pattison Signs gave us a bunch of billboards. Larry Van of Van Media did the same. It's so cool. So I'm part of the team. I didn't come up with the actual, and then from there, we morphed it into Crush the Curve Caravan. Where we
I saw that, your parade route, all through the falls.
It was so, we hit in 4 days every single residential neighborhood in the city, and we've got all these cars of interest, like, anyone that's nostalgic with the old TV shows like Kit from Knight Rider, or the DeLorean from what's that?
Chips.
Chips. Back to the Future, DeLorean, Dukes of Hazzard, the General Lee. We had the 1938 pumper truck from Christmas Story, the movie, which is originally from here in Chippewa. And we had all these cars. And it's funny. I had some people asking, so when do you come into our neighborhood? And I said, well, whenever. And I said, but listen, it's not a Macy's Day Parade. I mean, this is a real, pared down version of which car is still running. Can you come in the parade? And you know what? The way we were received, people were cheering, clapping, signs, billboards, blowing bubbles, noodles from the pool, playing their trumpets. They were dancing
Wow.
the Macarena. Well, that was you. You were doing the Macarena.
I
think
was
that's what
eating macaroni, but same thing. Right?
and then you were doing the moonwalk. We almost got into a car accident because we couldn't tell if the car was moving or the street was moving. That was so good. People, if they haven't seen you do that, they got to watch you moonwalk. That is something to be
That's
seen.
that's season 2 of the show. That's
Oh my
gonna be
God. Dance
so
lessons with Patrick Gagliardi. Well, I'll tell you something. So that parade, though, it was so well received. And, I said to people, I wasn't sure. And they said, you know what? It was like when the snowbirds flew over. They go, we just needed something good, something to look forward to, so that we don't care. And the reaction was like, we were like rock stars. It was so well received. And we knew we did the right thing. And it was a lot of fun. It was goofy. And it was fun.
well, and it's hitting on that major thing that's required right now, which is awareness.
Yep.
And I have you, of course, on social media and the cities and the different municipalities, and to me, it's obvious, like the messaging, and to so many people, it's obvious, but some people aren't getting it. So these things are necessary for those people that I guess aren't listening to the radio, aren't watching TV, don't have social media. It's
Yeah.
like, okay, we'll do a caravan then, even if you're outside. Well, you've covered all the bases.
Well, especially after we canceled the Canada Day parade and, the CNE's canceled, everything's canceled, sporting events. And we thought, well, if we're asking you to stay home, let's reward people for staying home. Instead of punishing them for going out, let's reward them for staying home, because the only way to see this is if you're at home. So we did just that. One of my only disappointments was I thought when we drove by your parents' neighborhood, your dad would make some of those famous Cinnabons that he makes. And those things are
No?
like to dive, nothing. He was missing in action. I drove by slow. I had the siren go off early, so we'd have lots of time to know we were coming. Nothing. He pretended he didn't know me. I don't know what's going on, but maybe you can put a word in. I don't know what happened.
Well, Jim, I have to say it's a little bit of my fault. That's why the camera stops here, because I can't stand up. So
And you're wearing black, right?
Yeah.
That's kind of minimizing. I got it. Okay. Makes sense.
So
Right,
not
fair enough.
fully his fault, but
You put on the
So-
COVID-15.
50, yeah.
50.
So, and it's so nice seeing the silver lining of these things. We're talking to a lot of wineries, and they're saying, we need to be in tune with our communities. We need to be in tune with nature. So come out to the wineries and get your wine right from the source. It helps them out. And this is another cool example of silver lining right in Niagara Falls. The caravan, and everywhere you look, there's the Crush the Curve. Everyone has it in their email sign-offs and their social media. So I think by now, it's only taken 2 months. It's top of mind awareness that, stay home, follow the rules. It's for everyone's best interest. And what else can people do to support their communities and their industries in Niagara Falls and the region?
Well, you alluded to it just now, the curbside pickup. So we've got a link on the City of Niagara Falls website, and it's got FAQs for your frequently asked questions. And we've got a listing of all businesses that are open with their hours and who offers curbside pickup or drive-through pickup. And I know my kids about now, they're sick of my cooking. Actually, before COVID, they were sick of my cooking.
Wait, your Eggo waffles? Who would get sick of that?
Exactly. That's what I said. One day jam, one day whipped cream, one day maple syrup, one day corn syrup. There's so many options. But my kids just don't have that same spirit of, the new generation, right? I don't know, generation X, Y, Z, I don't know, millennial, whatever it is. But so anyway, so they're like, hey, what's open for takeout, Dad? So we've been doing takeout, and I see a number of wineries have got really cool deals where they'll give you a pizza with some wine, and you can go swing by, pick it up, curbside delivery. And here you're supporting the winery who's trying to support you. You're keeping your family happy with a variety in the house. So there's a lot of neat things like that. I know Ravine Winery is an example. I know a lot of the wineries are doing delivery. I've got, I know some friends had some deliveries from Wayne Gretzky Winery. I understand there's a whole bunch of wineries that are delivering for those that don't want to go out or don't want to wait in line at the liquor store. So all you got to do is go online, see who's open, and participate. Your family will thank you for giving the kitchen a break one day and trying something other than waffles, for sure.
For sure. And then these are the businesses that, like we've seen on so many posts, are supporting the sports teams in the summer, your kids' sports teams, and that are maybe not directly in your circle, but they're going to be for sure in the secondary circle of people and support. So, and like you said, the quality, unfortunately, we just can't do that ourselves. So,
and you know what else too, Patrick, I got to say, I'm so impressed by some of the local companies who have pivoted. And, we always say it'll take a disruption for us to pivot. And some people, oh, we're never going to recover. And I said, no, we just don't know exactly when and exactly how. We will always recover because we never panic, we plan. And we've had a lot of crazy things happen and we pivot. So an example is after 9/11. After that happened, people said, oh my gosh, the borders shut down. Only 5% of Americans have passports. We're never going to recover. Well, guess what? The last 5 years were 5 of the best years we've ever had in tourism because now 50% of Americans have passports. So we will pivot. And if it means more physical distancing, maybe that's a good thing. More sanitizing and washing your hands, that probably is a good thing. You know, some people maybe don't wash their hands enough, so it's probably not a bad idea. And also, I think it made us more grateful for what we do have. And I can tell you my own personal story. So I've been just over a year, I've been cancer free. And it was, I always say, even when there's a crisis or bad things happen, good things always come out of them. One of my mentors said to me a long time ago, instead of asking, why is this happening to me? Ask, what can I learn from this? And so when you look at this, and I'll tell you, after I was sick and the chemo and all that, and you know, I lost a lot of weight and I was a mess. And then, my gosh, how much I appreciated the simple things in life, like the fact you got food in the fridge. You know, you think, oh, I'm glad it's raining out, my roof isn't leaking. I'm glad the furnace is working, it's still warm in here. You know, and you appreciate your kids, you appreciate your family, you appreciate the things you take for granted, and you start to focus on the things you have instead of things you don't have. And I'll tell you right now, just being able to walk into a store and buy something on Tuesday, I want to do it, buy new socks just because I can. I mean, I'm just excited that I can go into a store now because up till now, you know, it's funny, you know, I've been trying to adapt to the new reality. And I just drove by one of the grocery stores that are lined up and I'm thinking, wow, you know, I really appreciate being able to just walk into a grocery store and buy what I need, things I took for granted. So I think business will pivot. The wineries are going to pivot and somehow they're going to turn this into a good thing. And what do they say? When life gives you lemons, you make lemonade. And maybe when life gives you grapes, I don't know, maybe that doesn't go, but anyway, I don't know for sure.
And for sure, and they already are pivoting, and we've heard so many interesting stories of how they're doing it. Even owners of wineries throwing on not a costume, but throwing on some cool clothes and doing the deliveries themselves. Some of the wineries have meals that are mostly prepared, so there's a bit of an element that there's a teaching element to it. So you're still following instructions and cooking for yourself, but it's mostly done, so you can't screw it up that bad. And they of course pair it with different things. Yeah, I think you hit the head on the nail with the nail on the head.
Yeah,
with the pivoting.
So I got a question. Now, you spoke about some of these wineries, they put on costumes and stuff like that. So one thing I've been meaning to ask, and I figured now's probably as good a time as any. When we drove by your house, I noticed when you were doing the Macarena, then you busted into the moon dance. Yeah, exactly. That's how it was, kinda. And I know we were driving, so maybe I missed some, but you were wearing, it looked like a unicorn outfit. And I meant to ask you what, if there was a message. I'm not exactly sure what, I don't know if you wanted to explain or not.
Unicorn's very rare beast. It's a very rare time. So that was my version of the pivoting.
Oh, okay, fair enough. I like it. That was very cool.
And we're gonna stand strong. We're gonna stand together. And even the businesses are pivoting, but they still need our help to get out there and to buy their products and to use their services. So there's an article today about the tourist industry and what a big hit it's taken.
Yeah.
And those are industries that are kind of harder to support, right? Because we can't stay home. It's relying on other people coming in. What's some of the mentality going into that, or even like down the road, how we're going to adjust to that and how that industry is going to bounce back?
You know, that's a great question. So Niagara Falls is the #1 leisure destination in Canada. You know, we got 14 million people from all over the world, and now airlines are grounded most of the time. The borders are closed down, and Niagara Falls is within a 1 day's drive of 130 million people. 130 million people. So
New York, Toronto, Hamilton, Pittsburgh, Buffalo.
Toronto, that whole eastern seaboard is absolutely aligned with us, and so we know the flying international market's going to take a longer period to bounce back. But gas is cheap because of oil prices being so cheap, and the rubber tire market is huge, where we can see the staycations and the people that aren't going to travel only as far as a tank of gas will get them. And for us, that'll work just fine as the borders open up like a dimmer switch. We don't want to flick it on because we know till all areas are safe to open, and including us. And I think we've done a really good job of containing and identifying the issues and doing a lot more testing than we've been doing. And everybody knows the rules of the game. I think unless you've been living under a rock, everybody knows you got to wash your hands, you got to sanitize, you got to keep your distance. One other good thing too for our wineries, and a lot of them involve a lot of outdoor stuff. I was reading a good article in the Globe and Mail last week by Andre Picard, and he said there are 312 detailed studies that show there has been zero casual contact transmission of coronavirus outdoors. So when you're outside, it's kind of, I guess, like, trying to light a Christmas or a birthday cake candle. If you did it outside, it blows out right away. That's why you do it inside. And I think that's why outside there's less chance. And they said no recorded transmission out of 312 detailed studies. So for touring a winery, doing outside taste testing, for those kind of things, I think if you can keep people distanced there's another good pivot. And back to Niagara Falls, yeah, so let's take, for example, the hornblower, where those boats, they get 700 people on every boat. Well, if we go to 50% capacity, because we're going to have to distance people, and it is outside, and we offer everybody a mask that wants a mask, we can do a lot to minimize the chance of any kind of transmission, because 40,000 jobs depend on tourism to put food on the table here in Niagara. And that's Niagara Lake, Niagara Falls, and we really need tourism to be successful. So we need to make sure when we open, and we will open, we do it in a safe way, and we do it deliberately so that we've got protocols and precautions in place that the people who work in the different places in the tourism industry feel safe. The guests feel safe coming here, and they know we've taken precautions and we're COVID friendly. And then, of course, lastly, that it is safe for everybody. It's not just a show. And I can tell you, I've been speaking with the Minister of Tourism provincially, Lisa MacLeod, and federally, Minister Jolie. And Minister MacLeod was telling us this past week, we're the first tourism destination in the province to have a plan for recovery. So we've got a full marketing plan on how we're going to open tourism up again, open up the whole market, and be able to invite people back in a safe and meaningful way that they're not going to feel worried about coming here.
Wow, Jim, that's a lot. That's a big silver lining. I didn't even think about the non-airplane kind of transportation, that we are so close to these different epicenters, and yeah, people will still be able to drive. And as it releases slowly, it's good to know that there's a good team involved, and we're ahead of the curve in marketing, and that the tourism industry will bounce back. And of course, that's not just the hotels and the restaurants. It trickles down to everything, because it's trickle down economics, I believe, right? That affects everybody in one area, that there's a major industry. So it's good to know that there's a silver lining, and there's a light at the end of the tunnel. And for now, we just continue to crush the curve, support local, drink local, eat local, and find out any information on the Niagara Falls website. It's nicely laid out with the curbside pickup, you said, and just keep the energy up. And that's why it's always such a pleasure talking to you, because energy's always up.
Oh yeah.
Like, I know you done me a bunch of those pixie sticks before our interviews. I love it.
Well, you know what? I'm like you. You're high energy, positive, optimistic, and it's one of the things I've learned with all my challenges is even when there's a crisis, there's opportunities. Plato had a quote long time ago that's as relevant today as it was back in those days, and it said that necessity is the mother of invention. And when we need something, we're going to find it. And I just have to give you one example. There's a business right here in Niagara who is creating a system where they can sanitize N95 masks. They can sanitize actually absolutely anything. And it's a combination of vaporized hydrogen peroxide and UV lights. So these machines are being used in all the hospitals now. Tourist attractions are buying these machines so they can kill all the viruses, all the germs, not just coronavirus, all the other ones. So you see the opportunity is going to come out of this, where there's going to be less transmission of anything bad, where you can say, this thing has got nothing on it. I mean, and I'm not going to suggest what you do, like you're crazy. You go lick a doorknob to prove that it's been sanitized. And I'm not suggesting that for a second. But what I am definitely suggesting is we will bounce back, and we're going to be smarter and wiser because of it. And I appreciate all that you're doing to reach out to all your viewers. And I know there's a lot of them. A very popular show. People love what you do. And you've always got a entertaining way of educating us and giving us a little bit of levity at the end of the day.
We rise to the occasion as a community, and we'll continue to do so by learning together, laughing together, and of course, eating together and drinking. I always forget about the last part. I'm going to get in trouble. We do have to drink too, drink the wine. Thank you so much, Jim, and everyone in your office, and doing a great job. And I'm so lucky that I get to see you whenever I want, because I just turn my phone on, and of course I've got the Jim Diodati screensaver, but when I take that off, I can see you on Instagram and Facebook and Twitter. So keep the energy up. We really do appreciate it. And Ralph and I are very happy and proud to be a part of this community that is so smart and technologically advanced and pushes for the greater good of everyone. So thank you.
Thank you. Give Ralph a little pat on the bottom, and love you. Love you.
Love you too, babe. I'll see you later.
Sounds good.
Arrivederci.
Ciao, baby.